Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What's going on, Internet? Eric Van Holtz here, back again with another amazing E-Commerce Conversations. I got Marco over here from Drop Party here in the Beard Brand office. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. We survived the snowpocalypse a couple weeks ago.
We did, and right after it was over, I flew like a bird out to LA.
Oh, did you? You had to get some sunshine?
Had to soak in some heat, but I'm only 4 years into my Texas experience, so I'm still taking my beatings and like kind of taking my lashes on the Texas heat in the summer, and then this experience over the winter, which isn't really winter. I don't know. It was like 3 days of freezing.
Well, it was winter to me.
Yeah,
man.
it was a lot.
I'm super stoked to talk about this. Founder of Drop Party, but like really interesting past. He's Canadian, so he's I assume a legal alien here.
No, I'm not illegal. I was born in Canada. My mom is American. My dad is Dutch, so I have 3 passports.
Oh, shut up. Really?
Yeah, man. I can live in Europe. I can live here. I can escape here. I can go back to Canada. It's great.
I'm totally envious. This is a segue for after the show, but my goal is to get multiple passports, so I'll have to learn a couple things from you. And as the Dutch person in you, you're equally as tall as me, so it's very rare that I'm looking eye to eye with someone. So let's quickly talk about that pathway up to Drop Party and kind of how you got there, because when you left Canada, you wanted to be a musician.
Yeah, when I was like 15, I was recording my rap albums and I was producing, and it was all terrible. But, you believe in yourself as a kid. So at 17, I moved to LA to do music.
By yourself or with your family?
By myself.
Wow.
I mean, I moved there like 5 days before I was 18. But I'm still like saying 17. It sounds better. But then
that's bold. Different country.
Yeah, so I moved to LA, stayed with a friend for a month on his couch, and then I figured out how to pay rent working at Foot Locker. And then I basically worked at a grocery store while trying to do music. Did that for a couple of years and was connected to some really interesting up-and-coming artists there at the time. But in the process of meeting them and trying to record music with them, you realize how much more talented they are than you. I mean, I think I had some talent, but it also requires grit. It requires some significant amount of effort, because you have to take criticism and you have to all that stuff that you learn as an adult. Usually when you're trying to get your first job, you have to learn very young in music. And I just realized that I didn't have that gene expressed yet at 18. I didn't have the grit gene at that moment. So I went back to school, got my degree in computer science, did it quickly too, because I went back to school at 21. So I was a little late to it, but I wasn't there to make friends. I wasn't there to party. I finished my degree in 2.5 years. So a full-on computer science degree, beginning to end, in 2.5 years. Worked as a software engineer.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I want to touch on that a little bit, maybe for our younger listeners. It seems like such a shift to go from like a creative music passion to computer science. And I know there's creativity in programming, but talk about that.
Yeah. So my best friend and now my co-founder at Drop Party was actually the guy that he'd been writing code since he was 11 years old. We met in high school. And he and my other friend were like, you should try computer science, while I was doing music. And at first I thought, this is why would I do this? I didn't actually understand what it was. Funny enough, my mom has a master's degree in computer science. But I was like, I don't really know what this is. So I started taking some online Python courses. And what he was saying, hey, this course I'm teaching online, we're doing it for the whole semester. Why don't you try it? It's free. I'll show you how to do it. And I did it in 3 days. It was like an intro course, and I did it in 3 days where he was trying to teach over a whole semester. I thought, okay, great. I actually am good at this. But what I saw was the same thing that you see when you're doing music is you have to build a lot of skills, a lot of familiarity with how all these different synthesizers and mixing boards and just all of the technical aspects of music aren't fun necessarily, but they create the output that you're looking for. And as an engineer or getting a computer science degree, there's a lot of technical stuff that allows you to create your vision at the end. It's not fun necessarily going through it, but I saw that I could create something that was an app or a website or something that would be exciting for me. So that's kind of where I started.
I think that's kind of helpful to see how it's going. So you got a degree in computer science. And then you started working for the man.
I did a year at a biomedical company in northern LA. And then I worked for Capital One, and that was a really interesting team.
So you made the shift to Texas then?
No, so it was LA to San Francisco. I worked at headquarters, Capital One headquarters there, under the new VP of design there. And he's the guy that designed the Motorola X. So it's like this modular phone, and actually also worked on Google Project Aura. It's like you could clip different things on the back to have new speakers or whatever. All it was really interesting. But he went to Capital One to create a gamified savings experience, like financial health through a game. Mm-hmm. And I was working on that. I was one of 3 engineers out of a team of 30, which had industrial designers and game designers. And it was really interesting. I did that for a year. It was kind of like 8 months until I was kind of like winding down on that, and then got married. And I was trying to move into product management. So at the time there as an engineer, I was working with product managers that I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but I didn't really respect them.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's probably not listening to it.
There's opportunities to improve.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, well, like, he's a product manager that's very engaged with the red tape of banking. Yeah. Oh, this is how I'm going to manage our product. And I thought there's so many more creative and interesting ways to build product here. So I need to get into that field. So I was trying to transition from software development into product management. And it's really hard to do when you're in Silicon Valley, when you're 25 and you have no experience, but everybody needs 3 to 5 years of product management experience, and you're trying to get jobs at Google or whatever. I had too much product management experience by having been in charge of my own products to a certain degree to get an entry-level role, but I didn't have enough to get a regular role, so I just couldn't get one.
Right.
So after applying for a long time, I wrote this article called "I'm Done Pretending Silicon Valley is Visionary." It was very much a frustration piece, but it blew up, and a lot of people read it, including, the whole executive team at Google, the executive team at Expedia. All these people read it and were reaching out to me, wanted to do calls. They were reaching out to me. It was really interesting. And the CEO/president of HomeAway here in Austin called me and said, "You're going to come work for me."
Oh, no way.
I thought, okay. So he literally, I don't know how he got my number. He called me 7 a.m. Pacific time. "Hey, this is John Kim. You're going to come work for me in Austin."
That's pretty cool.
So I thought, okay, great. So I came out and visited on the worst day of the year in 2016. It was like cold, freezing, and it was not great. But it was nice, and I needed a job. So I came here, worked there. And I'll fast forward through this part, but essentially big companies kill your soul.
Oh, yeah.
So
preaching to the choir, man.
So I did that for 2 years, and I met some amazing designers and engineers and people that I still work with today, but I just couldn't do it there anymore because we had all these creative ideas, and they just got squashed every 6 months by some executive team, some executive decision-making committee that I couldn't, I had no influence on. So I said, I can't do this, and I left. And that's probably where you maybe came across me, is when I started writing these Twitter threads about direct-to-consumer stuff. So I was trying to get in as a consultant to some of these direct-to-consumer businesses. I had engineering background, I had product management background, and I could see a lot of first-time founders or early direct-to-consumer businesses have great physical products, but do a very poor job at communicating their value from their ads through to their landing page, through the product, the PDP, down to checkout. There's this disjointed experience. And I thought, well, I can help you think through that. And I just started writing about coherence in your communications, things that you think about as a product manager all the time. And people are like, well, hey, you're a marketer now.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not a marketer, but I appreciate the sentiment. So started doing some consulting gigs with very new companies to very established companies. So I mean, the biggest company that I did a consulting gig for during that 8-month window was Chipotle. Really fun. I got to get paid decent money to help them think through their direct-to-consumer delivery program. And I did that. During that time, I met the founder of Elliot and joined as the head of marketing there, which was also weird for me to be the head of marketing, and I'd never done an official marketing role.
So Elliot was going to take down Shopify, and that was the word on the street, right?
That was the marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen anything so beautiful as the branding. It was like that black and gold or black and yellow, right?
Yeah.
It was just stunning. Props to that designer, whoever that was.
Yeah, great design team out of Columbus, Ohio. Their name is Studio Freight. They have done some amazing work. When I joined, I saw the ambition of the company, which was to build a Shopify that was self-serve, but also out of the box allow you to ship and sell internationally from any country to any country. That's a very bold mission.
Oh, yeah.
And I was not the engineer at this company. I was not an engineer in any capacity at this company. So I did not know anything that was happening in the back end, from how it was structured, how it worked, whatever. My only responsibility was to market this thing. So I built a brand that was compelling, slightly controversial, bold, would call out Shopify, whatever. And it was a great marketing tactic for somebody who, I don't know, I was like, this seems like a good idea. So I did that. We had some cool activations. We did this Elliott Mall, which is like a virtual mall on Google spreadsheets where it was open and anybody could add anything. It ended up being somewhat erogenous and pornographic in some places, because people would throw in whatever they wanted. It was an open Google sheet, and it actually got taken down by Google because it broke their terms of service.
Of course. Talking about big corporations, man. They're no
but
fun.
It was a lot of fun. And right before we were supposed to launch, there was some chaos in the technology that I was not privy to.
Yeah, let's just say the company imploded, and then you're on to Drop Party. So where do you get the idea for Drop Party?
Post Elliott, post losing 15 pounds due to stress and whatever's happening publicly around this whole meltdown, I'm saying to my wife, I need money. And I mean, I don't know, we need to make some money. I don't have an income anymore. And it was a startup salary, but I don't have an income anymore. So I reached out to Westbrook Entertainment, which is Will Smith's company out in LA. So it's not only the movie studio, it's the TikTok and Instagram production team that does all the cool content. It's also a talent management agency and a merchandising company.
Did you know them, or is it just cold?
I had met somebody there 6 months before, and he had introduced me to somebody else. And then finally, like a month before the whole company fell apart, I was talking to them again, and then we were seeing if they could come work with Elliott in some capacity. But afterwards, I said, hey, this isn't happening anymore, but I'd love to work with you still. They said, great. So we need help with all of these sites, all these products. And in a 3-month period, I think I built 7 stores from top to bottom, designed the merch, designed the site, did everything, fulfillment, customer service, all of that stuff. So I basically built multiple small direct consumer operations around the IP that Westbrook owns or operates. Mm-hmm. Fascinating, but in the process I'm looking at, man, this is a very expensive undertaking for them. They're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars combined to buy inventory that they haven't necessarily sold yet, to design sites that haven't been validated yet. I thought, okay, well, I think I can do something better. So the idea for Drop Party came out of that. I thought, let's switch the model. Let's turn it around. I'm going to design product, sample it, photograph, build a site, do the fulfillment, customer service, production, everything. But up front, we're going to do all the sampling and put it in front of customers. And on the back end, we're going to produce it. So that way we're not overselling or underselling anything. We make exactly as much as we need. And then instead of paying me cash up front, trying to invoice you for this and that, I'm going to take all of the revenue up front, all the sales, and then I'm going to pay you out at the end after my percentage plus the cost of goods. And that was the business. That was where the idea came.
So they've got like no risk, right? They just get a check for their brand.
Yeah, and I get to take bets on companies, brands, talent that I believe can sell product. That's kind of where the idea came from. And since then, we kind of been rolling. We're now a team of 5 people heavily involved, 2 people very part-time. And it's great. It's bootstrapped.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will be there forever, but right now it is, and it's making money, so I don't have any complaints.
I'm a big fan of bootstraps.
Yeah.
Keep that going as long as you can, unless you feel like there's an opportunity of losing market share or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it comes down to, and actually last week I met up with Jamie Schmidt and Chris Cantino, and we were talking about this exact same thing. They said, yeah, you can raise money, but there's different lessons you learn when you're bootstrapping than when you're scaling. Right? So like when you bootstrap, you're intimate with all the finances, you understand where every dollar goes, and every mistake you feel it and you learn lessons very quickly. Once you stop learning lessons from your bootstrapping experience and it's inhibiting your growth because you want to grow faster for, to keep competitors out or whatever it is, that's the time where you decide if you want to raise money. And I think they went through that similar situation at Schmitz, but they were able to pour the profits of each sale back into their business for growth. My business might be a little different. I'm not sure yet. But for the foreseeable future, I'm planning on bootstrapping this thing. It's mostly relationships. We mostly operate in entertainment. More money doesn't help.
Well, some unsolicited advice for you in regards to this is like, there's always room at the top. So if you've got a great product or great relationships or great whatever, you're going to be in business. And if you're profitable at a small size and you can maintain that profitability, you're never going out of business.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have investors to appease or please. Like they'll want to shut the company down if it's not growing at a rate. But if you're happy with the rate you're at and you're making money, you'll be in business forever. And, on a long enough time frame, you just incrementally get better and better and better. I'm sure that being said, there's always, examples of companies who would disagree with that. So,
yeah, I don't really think about it too much. I will take the feedback and advice and listen to people, and you included. But I think right now, where we are is comfortable. We're growing. Some of the very critical people on our team aren't even full-time employees yet.
Yeah.
So the capacity we have to be able to double to bring them on full-time and double our ability to do more stuff at a higher quality. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we're capable of yet, and we're already seeing profitability, seeing growth, seeing traction. I don't have any reason yet to even consider it. So
that 4 and 5 employee mark is such a sweet spot because you don't have to have all the structure of meetings and KPIs. It's just they know what to get done. They go and get done. But once you start getting over that 5, then it's about becoming a better manager and systems and processes. And so, I mean, I can share some of this after the call on I think we moved back probably 18 months in the growth of the company because we didn't want to be managers, and it just put the business sideways. So I want to pick your brain about how are you building these relationships? So obviously you've got the Will Smith connection. You've done some other pretty impressive drop parties. Talk about those.
Yeah. So with the Will Smith team, we did the Bad Boy store. We worked with Patrick Mahomes. We did the Fresh Prince store and some other ones that were impressive in their own right.
So these are now with Drop Party then?
So these were stores that we built. Actually, most of those were on Shopify. We did some Drop Party experiences with them, but those stores were on Shopify.
Okay.
And I did all of those end to end. And the thing that you realize in the process of this is that every person that's involved in this is a regular person. I mean, not that you don't know that,
right.
But you think about Will Smith and you think he's a god.
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever, right? But then you meet him or you meet the people around him and you realize they're just trying to stay on top of their day and do whatever they need to do. So what I think one of my strengths building these relationships is that I'm never glorifying anybody. Right. And it makes me a little more approachable. And I think I make people pretty comfortable when I work with them. And I'm not using all the crazy D2C vernacular that you'd read in a blog post or something that people are well, I don't understand what these mean. I just kind of speak clearly and openly and very directly to them. That's one part of it. But the other part is that you do good work. Like you said, there's always room at the top. If you do good work and you communicate clearly and you actually believe in what you're doing, you're not hawking an idea, but you're saying, this is what I do. I'm providing you value here. It's actually a pretty good pitch. Drop Party will do this amazing drop for you and you're going to get paid at the end. You don't have to put $1 in. That's a pretty good pitch.
Yeah.
And I don't really have to work too hard at that. And then I just walk them through everything that I know. But the relationship building has been, I meet somebody that I kind of know or partially know. And I do the thing where I am genuinely interested in what they do. I talk with them either on Twitter, across DMs, over open channels, whatever. We do some work together. And then I say, hey, do you know anybody else that would? And then, I know these other people. There's a big gap between what we see in direct consumer marketing and what I do with building these relationships. They're actually completely disjointed. So a lot of D2C stuff is paid acquisition, media spend, just keep going, take your ROAS, put that right back into the next ad dollar that you spend. Where I don't have any of that. I just focus on the most premium experiences I want to do, and I do a good job, and it opens more doors and more people come to me. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but actually by being more specific, by focusing more on the vision that I want to accomplish, I get more relationships. I know it's not actionable, or maybe you're seeing it as actionable, but I don't think it's
I mean, I think you have a really good lesson is you have to ask for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get that referral and build that network. I think, what are I don't know, I want to dig down to analyzing yourself a little bit more. And what do you think it is about you that really lets people connect and to build that trust? And I mean, for me personally, when someone says, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, it's music to your ears because everyone wants to spend your money, have Beard Brand take the risk for everything and they promise the world. But what you're saying is I'll promise you the world, but I'm going to do it on my dime. So
yeah, I think the thing that makes it easy right now is that I approach it as a partnership. You're not my client. You're truly my partner. I don't want your money. I don't even care about money. To be honest, money doesn't matter. I say it because it's a proxy for how much value I'm providing. But really, what Drop Party is, when you're thinking about doing a drop with somebody who's famous and rich already, they don't need money. What am I going to give them? $500,000? I'm already I'm already the top NFL wide receiver or quarterback or whatever it is. Like, the money doesn't matter. They want to build their brand. They want to connect with their fans. They want to have them take home a really engaging experience that they can be proud of. That's what I'm here to offer.
Right.
And that's what I'm excited about doing. I never really saw myself as a brand or marketing person, but it's the most fascinating thing for me because I started in music, right? But I come from a very technical and like analytical world, software engineering, product management. It's all numbers, it's all data. And the one thing that's not tangible is brand. It's relationships, it's communities. I mean, it is tangible, but it's hard to quantify that besides like, this is the number of people in my community. And I know that I've kind of done all the analytical stuff to a point where I don't have to look at it necessarily to understand what feels right and what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I just bring that to my relationships and to the partnerships that we're working on. And I really, obviously I believe what I'm doing if I'm willing to say, I'm going to front all of these costs to make it happen. And I just want to have a share of the upside.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I think also I don't have salesman language.
Right.
I don't know all the terms. I don't know the fancy words.
You haven't gone on LinkedIn and found that one email that gets everyone to open.
No, but here's the thing. So I was talking to my friend and I was telling him, man, I DM people on LinkedIn and say, hey, I think what you're doing is amazing. I would love to work with you. And they respond and say, yeah, let's get on a call. Like, that is the most unheard of thing possible on LinkedIn, a cold DM that actually gets responses. During the whole GameStop, Wall Street bets, short squeeze stuff, I was like, man, this would be a great opportunity to do a drop. So I reached out to the chief digital officer of GameStop through LinkedIn, and he replied to me the next day. And he was like, yeah, let's figure it out. Because I said, I just led with, this is what we do. I think you could do something interesting. Well, I got kind of caught up in, it goes from him to the marketing to the licensing, and then it just kind of falls off. And it doesn't actually happen.
Those giant corporations.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future then. Like, is the strategy to work with, like the Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady's of the world who aren't as corporate and, built up? Or where do you see the opportunity for growth with Drop Party?
Yeah. Drop Party at its peak, at its best, I think. It's a business that creates amazing experiences around the most relevant cultural moments in the world at any given time. That's where I want to be. Yeah. So I don't want to work with the top 10%. I want to work with the top 1%. And not just about their earnings or whatever, but like, it can be the Internet Explorer is going to be shut down in August. I don't know if you knew that.
I had no idea.
But I know that. I don't know. That's something that I'm interested in. Yeah. So like, that's something where like, how do I go and have a conversation with the right people to do, whether it's a competitor that wants to make a joke about it or whether it's actually with Microsoft, like how do I do something that's interesting, merchandisable, creative, and something that rides the wave of this cultural moment.
Right.
That's where we want to go. And the best way to do that is to do things that look like that. So we just did this Mars drop with Tobias Van Schneider.
Yeah.
Great beard.
Yeah. Me and Tobias also did a collaboration many years ago. So he's a good friend of mine. And he designed a logo that's literally on a different planet.
Yeah, I know. When I saw him, we were commissioned by NASA to do this Mars rover logo. I thought, man, that is an amazing opportunity to celebrate a human achievement that is going to land on another planet in 6 months. How do I get part of this? So I just DM'd him. We know each other a little bit. So I said, hey, man, like, you're going to do a drop party for Mars? He said, let me ask you some questions. So he said, like, is it print on demand? Is it this, is that? Actually, what Drop Party does is we do every single piece of this is custom produced. We source the blanks. We source custom labels and patches from whatever production teams in Pakistan or China, or actually they're getting screen printed here in Austin and then shipped to Florida and fulfilled. And we're doing all of this. It's not print on demand. It's as high quality collectible product as we can create.
Right.
And I told him this. He's like, "Oh yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
So
he doesn't like junk.
Yeah. So and it was great because we collaborated very closely. He designed the product. He worked with my production manager Nihana on all the details, all the pricing, all this stuff. We worked through all of that, and then we created this drop party /Mars. This really fun experience that Casey Neistat saw it. We sent him a couple shirts and a crew neck, and he even shared it. It kind of got picked up in the social media world, and we could have done better. We learned some lessons about how we should have positioned it better, but those are the type of experience we want to do. And that one opened the doors for many other things that I didn't expect, like a top 3 television network to reach out to me and say, hey, we've got all these brands that want to do sponsorships. We've got all these TV shows. How do we get involved here? How do we work with you? Live streaming platform, music streaming platform. All these people say, we love how you're approaching this. You're doing high quality stuff for people that are culturally relevant and planning to continue growing into that space as, the next Kanye, maybe Spotify, for example, could recognize the next Kanye before he's there because they know the streaming data, they know the cohorts. Great. Can you do merch with him? Of course. But it only happens when you have a clear vision and you're focused on your goal. And obviously, over the last 6 months, I've refined that a lot, but It's starting to roll. It's starting to come in, and I don't have to work as hard at it.
Well, I feel like there's a couple things in here that this has been a theme for me over the past month or two with a lot of people I've been talking to is this term called zeitgeist, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just like this cultural movement. And it's the Wall Street bets. It's landing on Mars. It's almost like whatever Elon's tweeting,
I was hoping he would have picked up the Mars
drop. I know.
As well.
That would have been like...
Well, we would have.
What do they call it? Stonks or whatever.
That would have been crazy.
So I think there's how do we at Beard Brand too, tap into these movements? How do you do it in a way that's not disingenuous, right? Where it's authentic and connected and not grifting or whatever the terms are for people just trying to take advantage of the moment. I feel like there's a fine balance in that.
Well, the zeitgeist as an idea is it's hard to put your finger on what it is, except for it's the thing that everybody's talking about.
Right.
And that's where I think I have a benefit is that I don't know why, but I have an energy that I think people are drawn to and it sounds really bad when I say it out loud, but when I'm talking to people on Twitter or trying to get on a phone call, the conversations are very smooth. And because I come at you as an equal, you're not somebody above me, you're not somebody below me, no matter who you are. And I think that makes it easy to make the next introduction or have somebody else and be basically a scout for my next project for me. And that's an amazing position to be in, to have other people recognize the zeitgeist for their network and their community. I love soccer. I played soccer growing up, but I don't know much about what's going on. But I have friends that are like, yo, you got to work with this company and this team and this player. I'm going to make the introductions. That's amazing because I can work with them. I can have my friend be involved and help me create an amazing experience without me having to know all about that, because we're trying to be the team in the company that creates a merchandisable moment around this zeitgeist experience. And so that's kind of what we do. It's fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're learning a lot of lessons because we're a small team working at the pinnacle of cultural moments. It's figuring out a lot of stuff.
Well, it's going to be super dope to see where you go and what kind of partnerships that you line up in the future. And
and if you know anybody, just I
think I'm still a little small town here. I don't know if I got some high rollers in my network or not, but
yeah.
Where can people learn more about you, learn more about Drop Party?
Sure. So best place to probably learn more about me would be to go to my Twitter. I'm at All Things Marco. Also, I'm on Instagram, All Things Marco. Drop Party our website is drop.party. Very simple. Yeah. It's going to keep improving. We're going to start linking to some of the drops that we're doing and the ones that are coming up. That's pretty much it. And my DMs are open. So just slide in there, man. I always like to have conversations, and I'm figuring out how to keep myself available and open to people that I don't know while we start to get more success and traction. And so just give me a compelling little 2 sentences and I can have a conversation. Easy.
That's the key right there. 2 sentences.
Yeah.
If you've got to do more than 2 sentences, then it might not be very compelling.
Yeah. Or the people that just say, yo.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are or why we're talking, but whatever.
Yeah. Live and learn. That's a good opportunity. Sweet, man. Well, thanks so much for coming by the Beard Brand office. It was a blast chatting and learning more about Drop Party.
Also, it's a beautiful space. I think I told you this before.
Oh,
but,
you're too kind.
And I'm going to say this for everybody who hasn't been here. It's what I think everybody wants for a direct-to-consumer business that is bootstrapped, is it doesn't feel like you just rented a random office. They created multiple beautiful spaces. They have a coffee shop space in the front. You got a podcast booth in the back. You got a barber shop even further back. Got a live venue out back, in the backyard. It's what you want. You're creating the dream of your own business. It's amazing. I'm just lost for words.
Well, you can work here, man, if you want to. I mean, you're more than welcome to come work at the coffee shop.
I'll always take you up on that.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys learned something this episode, or you enjoyed the entertainment. I was entertained. Marco's a great person. Thanks for being on the show. As always, thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.